Hey everybody, welcome back to Enigmatica 2 Expert Pack. Last time we set up a brand new applied and logistics area, and in between episodes I have been going around and setting up the P2P system, which basically just delivers channels to different parts of the base, like the machine room, the arc furnace, tree farm, and our food farm as well. We've got a really simple goal today, and that is Ender IO, which is going to require titanium and some other nonsense, and titanium requires this mess. So let's automate it. So now that we've spent a nice bit of time collecting some beautiful machines, let's assemble them. We're just going to make a semi-automated system. So we're banking up our fluids of chlorine and salt, and then we'll just be able to combine them all into a titanium ingot. So we start with an infinite water source going into a thermal evaporation tower. This will make us brine. It seems to work differently than how I remember mechanism going because I thought I'd have to expose this to the sun, but oh well. We may as well just make it taller. No reason not to. There we go. Now it can have even more water for some reason. What we'll do then is we will buffer some brine. I feel like we could use it eventually. So we'll set to extract. And then this tank will fill with 288,000 millibuckets of brine. We then want to send it to two different places, an ingot former and an electrolytic separator. Now hopefully the electrolytic it's not the right way, but that's okay. So we'll then extract on the bottom and insert into the back of both these machines, and we'll enable round robin. It's already enabled. So brine filling up our electrolytic separator and the ingot former filling with brine. Now the ingot former is going to give us salt, which is used in the recipe, so we can just buffer that into a drawer. So plugging those into power, we are going to get chlorine, sodium, and salt. So what we're going to do is we're going to dump excess of sodium, because we don't actually need that and it's not useful for anything. And out the side is going to come chlorine. And now we need a tank of chlorine, but I think we're going to need a gas tank actually. We'll make a nice ultimate gas tank for our chlorine, and we'll buffer up some chlorine, which will be nice. That'll keep this running. And then we also need our rotary condenser trader. I think needs to go this way. We need to make sure that is inserting. We need to set it to condenser trading because it will turn our chlorine into liquid chlorine, which we can then use in our advanced metallurgic fabricator. And then we'll just run our power cable up. It now has power. All right, let's see. There we go. So now we have liquid chlorine. And if we just set them at the same spot, we should still get liquid chlorine there and no gas chlorine. Oh, well, that's fine. We do need the liquid chlorine first and foremost. And then we can insert that into a tank. Looks like we'll need a fluid conduit. So we'll set that to extract, set it to insert, and there we are, liquid chlorine. Now, I think we're going to be able to put a storage bus on this. I'm not entirely certain though. Or maybe it goes on the bottom, not sure, but that's fine. We also need to make sure we give these their energy upgrades. I don't think the condenser trader is ever going to need any more speed upgrades, but let's see, we'll put some speed upgrades. Oh wow, that is draining the brine very fast. Well, there's the chlorine. Brine is now completely empty. And if only this heat generator was working, it doesn't seem to be actually accepting power at all. So if anybody's got any clues on why that's not working, I'd love to know. Yes, please ignore the previous statements where I said that the heater wasn't working. You need a resistive heater, not a heat generator. So we can set this to a lot more than what we want. So let's go 1,000 and see how hot we can make this thing. We want to crank the brine production. Good, our liquid chlorine is working. We do have an ME gas storage bus, so I imagine that's gonna work. We want it to be extract only on whatever the heck is gonna be getting there. So it is extract on that side. There we go. And then the fluid tank should be fine there. And the frame drawer, which will definitely allow insert. And now we have salt being produced nice and quickly. Brine is being produced very nicely, so much so that our water isn't able to keep up now. We might have to get into better water sources. The kitchen sink could probably work, but we do need the dense source anyway, so we do need to just automate. Oh, that's not too hard, actually. Yeah, those are free. But now we know that this system is working. Brine is slowly filling up, which is great. Chlorine is getting full. We're condensing it. Probably need more upgrades in these, I won't lie. You know, I just realized I was setting up automation just before the episode. I made a crafter to craft things. Last I checked, we've got a fair of those that can do the exact same job. I don't even know what I was thinking. So we need a few more energy upgrades. I think that's enough speed upgrades. Let's just make some nice dense water sources. That is 3,730 lead plates. Oh my goodness me, I didn't realize it was going to be so much, but I mean, may as well. Yeah, look at that speed. Looks like all of our industrial craft machines are working nicely. Might need some better cables, I think. So let's see here. Just replacing 4 cables. That should let them... Oh yeah, look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? I reckon we might be able to put some more in there. Yeah, look at that. That is good. That is good. And we got our lead plates being made in here as well. Smelting up all the graphite. Perfect. Now we can just wait for those. But while we do, let's just install some upgrades in our rotary condenser trader. Do need to place a storage bus on the drawer. And we should just be able to connect it all. That's got to be the worst spot for that. Fluid storage bus, connection. And then we'll just run our cable over to our main line. And done. Let's see. 3 channels being used. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Missing channel. Not sure. But liquid chlorine now being stored. I'm sure that's gonna work at some point. And then our salt drawer. Okay. So this system is working through nicely. We have our liquid chlorine. We have our salt. And we've actually run out of channels in the machine room. All right, so I see salt appearing in our terminal, which is a great sign. And checking our brand spangled new fluid terminal, we can see that liquid chlorine is indeed there. And if we check a gas terminal, we can see that we have chlorine as well. So it does look like this system is working perfectly. And it still looks like these dense infinite water sources aren't enough to keep up with our amazing production rate of brine and how quickly we electrolyze it. So we're almost full on our chlorine. We're about halfway now. We've got some more fluid conduits, so we'll set this to extract and give it 4 more of these extraction speeds. That seems to be enough to empty it entirely. And the electrolyzer is still too fast. Look at that. It just goes down so fast. That is amazing. All right, thank you, Mechanism. Now what we should be able to do is set a processing pattern here for titanium, which will insert magnesium ore, salt, and carbon plates, which will be as easy as putting on an interface, putting the pattern in on blocking mode, obviously a little bit of smart cable. So now that device will come online and we'll be able to input the items. And then we need to go around to the back and we're going to need to place our ME conduits and energy conduits as well. Thank goodness they can share the same space because now we need energy input. Beautiful. And 2 full block interfaces. Now that one needs to be a fluid. So we actually need a fluid interface. Set it to liquid chlorine, which it appears we're not going to be able to drag. That's completely useless. So we'll have to get a bucket of that. And then an interface just for item extraction. So let's just make sure that's all connected. It looks it. We will grab a bucket of our chlorine, or not. Looks like a cell will do. There we go. Should supply liquid chlorine. Hopefully. It's not supplying it at all, actually. What's going on? Looks like the ME conduit runs all the way up. It's not allowing any liquid chlorine in. Oh, I don't like that at all. I have no idea what any of that means. Extract. It's petitioned. Maybe this type of tank isn't going to work. Maybe the iridium tank will work here. So if we just break this and do that. Yes, it's saying that you have chlorine in it. And we'll see if chlorine has now filled this. No, it has not. Will it still work though if I just press extract and then tell that to insert? No, it won't. You know what? I'm stumped, but that's okay. We do have a tank here that we can just tell it to export. And we'll now fill that up. And that should last us a while. I have found the problem as to why none of it was working. They don't have channels. I've only allowed 32... No, not 32. I'm only allowing 8 on this regular ME conduit. So I've got to go through and replace it all with dense conduit. Which really doesn't even look like I'm doing anything. But I promise I am. And just to this branch will do. Dense, dense, dense. Still says device missing channel. That's a worry. There we go, device online. So that means chlorine is now actually requested. We've got the tank. And we can now say we want 100 titanium. We're missing magnesium ore. That's fine. We need to slowly accumulate some of that, but we should be able to just request 10 titanium. Now, I don't believe it was done that fast. If it really was, that's insane, but... Oh no, yeah, there it is. It was instant. Yeah, we just need an item conduit to extract, insert into an interface, and there we go. And there we are. We have titanium. Very nice. Well, so that all took a while, but I think we are now ready to finally crack into some Ender IO. And that starts with requesting, let's go 2 simple machine frames. God, it's basically all instant, and here we are. 2 frames, and there's the quest. And the quest reward actually gives us another simple machine frame, and some flint and steel. But we don't need flint and steel. I've already set up a very silly, very crazy... Let me take my magnet off. Automation for Grains of Infinity. I think we just have to reset it. But what we have is we have these fire starters from Cyclic. Oh, I did not know that they could change their range. Well, that's fine. But what we do is we just light the bedrock on fire and have a vacuum hopper into a chest, which goes into our system. And so we actually have quite a few Grains of Infinity, which is very nice. But now, let's take a look at the Ender IO quest page. So we check a box. And here we go. Right. So we're going to ignore the generators. We'll need to make capacitors at some point, but we need to make the proper machine chassis now, which is going to take reinforced obsidian and industrial dye blend. So reinforced obsidian is... yeah, not too bad. Industrial dye blend. Let's just make sure that recipe sets properly with our nether quartz dust. We're going to need to learn how to craft lapis dust, organic green and organic black dye. So let's see what we need there. Lapis dust is just a pulverizer, very easy. Green dye needs an alloy smelter, so we are going to have to make the simple alloy smelter first. But let's just set the recipe. So slime, pulverized coal, and green dye. We can already make everything there. Let's just check what slime balls we have the most of. And then black dye is pulverized coal and slime. But we actually need to make the alloy smelter first, and I cannot believe we could just request that. Well, there's the simple alloy smelter, which isn't a quest. Alrighty, so let's grab an interface and our alloy smelter. Let's configure the IO to have both push and pull on the bottom interface. We need our dye blend patterns. Our pulverizer needs lapis. And then our big array of molecular assemblers gets our other patterns. And then we should just set a recipe for industrial machine chassis into the terminal. And here we go, the moment of truth. Looks fine. Let's make sure it all gets crafted up nicely. There it is. Now we have our industrial machine chassis. And some Ender IOs. Okay, so goals here. We need to make the sag mill, which doesn't... oh, there it is. The sag mill. We also need to make the slice and splice. We do need to make the soul binder. And I think that's it for the meantime. So that is going to require a whole rabbit hole to go down, but let's see if we can request the sag mill. It doesn't look like we can. Let's just smash up some dark steel. We need 2 gears, and that should be the sag mill. All done. Should get another quest. Beautiful. So the slice and splice is up next. We're going to need solarium and a soul machine chassis and some energized gears. Solarium is just soul sand and gold. Got a few of that. And soul attuned is going to be soul attuned dye, which needs soul powder, organic brown dye. And soul powder is just pulverizing the solarium ingots. Right, so let's do a little bit of microcrafting. So a little while later, we have our slice and splice and our soul binder. We are getting very close to the dimensional transceiver. Still have no components of it, but we can at least request the 36 electrical steel now and get to work with... Okay, those are... Oh, draconium. Uh-oh. That looks like a roadblock to me. So with our new machines in tow, we do need to start working on some pretty specific things here. The quantum entangler porter is actually not that difficult. Dragon hearts are fine. Matter beamer, super duper fine, super chill. However, the octatic capacitor does need charged draconium. We'll get to the crafting cores later, but we need draconium in the first place. And the only spot we can find it is either with a void miner tier 6, not going to happen, or in the deep dark. Very rarely at y=5. So how do we get to the deep dark? So the deep dark is actually quite easy to get to as long as we have sextuple compressed cobblestone. Now let's call back to a very early episode where I received this as a quest reward, 1 octuple compressed cobblestone. We can turn that into 9 septuple and over a stack of sextuple. So I am a big fool because you actually need a draconium ingot to get there in the first place. So I guess I am defeated. Let's go to Google and see what I can do. Well, this certainly sucks. We're going to have to do a little bit of environmental tech grinding to get our void miner. So there are 2 ways that we're going to be able to get draconium, and realistically, they're both kind of bad for now. The first way is environmental tech, and I've been searching up because I just made our new void miner to get some ironite crystals, and then I realized that we're going to need to automate nether stars. So we can go down this route and automate lots and lots of nether stars, which we need for the tier 6 void miner, which gets us draconium ore, and is the only void miner that can do it. We could do advanced rocketry, but that just requires a bit of automation I'm not ready for yet. But there is also a bit of a silly way as well, and that's from a dull princess, which is either going to require chilled wacky or chilled and derpious, which is marshy, and cultivated, which is common forest. None of these bee breeding processes are too bad. I've just never used bees before. So I'm not really sure what to do, but I'll certainly have to figure that out soon. And soon it has been. So I have decided that we are going to make the tier 6 void miner. It doesn't seem like it's too far away, but there are a few things we need to automate before we can even consider it. So the tier 5, we are able to make the controller, but we need these iridium reflectors. It's just a nested microcraft. The problem is going to be these tier 5 structure frames, which need prismarine, we have automated, and nether stars, which we do not have automated. And theoretically, we can do mystical agriculture for this, but that's just going to require a lot more time than what I have in mind. And what I have in mind requires us to go to the nether, grabbing as much soul sand as we want, which is around 2,500 from this little patch, trapping a wither skeleton, and putting that mob imprisonment tool in a mob duplicator. And as we'll see, that's just going to replicate us wither skeletons. I actually wonder if the mob crusher is going to allow us to get wither skeleton skulls. We've definitely got to turn off the insertion on the bin and start removing some of the lights around here so that we can get bad guys spawning and then wither skeletons duplicated. And we can get wither skeleton skulls. Amazing. So let's put that there. And then as we get more wither skeletons, they'll just fill this drawer. We can re-enable insert on the bin. Might need some extraction upgrades on the mob crusher. Alright, amazing. It looks like we're going to get a lot of wither skeleton skulls from this. We already have 4. Alright, so here's how we're going to do it. We want to set a recipe for 4 soul sand, 3 wither skeleton skulls. Of course, I can't drag the nether star over, and we don't have any in our system, so we do actually have to get one first, which is a perfect chance to test our wither killing chamber. We have a mob crusher, wither-proof glass, platinum blocks, which are wither-proof, and underneath we have a wither builder, so hopefully it's not going to explode, right? I really hope not. Okay. It did explode, but it didn't kill me, and it didn't break any blocks. That's a really good sign. And of course, I actually need to bind a P2P channel down to the applied energistics here. I was wondering why there was no star in there, and that should immediately send it into the network. Or not. Still not seeing a nether star. Okay, there it is. I have no idea why that took so extremely long just to go into the network. But now we have a nether star farm, basically. And now that's the recipe we want. And now we just place the pattern in the interface. And I should be able to say I want 10 nether stars. Oh, we're missing skulls. Well, luckily this system is passive. Maybe I want 5 nether stars. Okay, it's built 1. It's built 2. Oh, that's concerning. It's built all 5 of them at once. My god, that was so loud for no reason. But we have our nether stars, so thank goodness that system works. Right, so with wither skulls and wither stars automated, let's just have a look at how many we're actually going to need for the tier 5. We're going to need 72 stars for the tier 5. And then the tier 6 is going to need 92, which means we need 92 tier 1s, so we are going to need that. And then 184. So we're going to need 276 nether stars for this entire project, which is a lot. That is annoying. So I think what we might do is see if we can't turn that mob essence duplicator out here, and we can hit them with the cleaver, which has got beheading 2 on it. So that should give us a few more skulls. But I'm going to leave that up to your imagination, because that is our time for this week. Thank you all for coming along and watching me fumble my way through achieving Ender IO. Probably one of the weaker options in terms of the tier 4 tech mods, but we did need it anyway to get the bragging rights chapter. Join me next time where hopefully I actually do get infinite power. I have been saying that for a while, but it's probably getting pretty close now. We're almost at Draconium with the Void Miners. And if you're really enjoying this series as I am, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more. And thank you to our members Timbo and 56HYPY. And thank you to all the others who are supporting the channel. It means a lot. Anyway, I will see you next time. Bye bye.